Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Cafecito here at United Latinas. I'm Ilhiana Rojas. I'm your host today, and I'm excited to have Karina Muller here to talk about self-care. This topic that's at top of mind for many of us, but for a lot of reasons, we keep pushing to the side. And hopefully today we'll talk about some tactics and practices to try to integrate it in a more seamless way and not keep pushing it to the side, because I feel like I started with this big goal at the beginning of this year. It's already September and still a goal. I haven't gotten to it. So hopefully after today, put some action into it. Karina, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's always good to support the Latina cause.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about how you got into this journey, and then we'll jump right into the topic.
Great. So I got into this journey basically by being the burnt out executive Latina. by necessity, by default, by all of it. So I have been an athlete my whole life. I loved sports and nutrition and health and wellness. And that's always been an active part of my life. But most of my career has spent living on planes and working on multiple continents at the same time in multiple languages. And what I found of spending most of my 20s and 30s on planes and living all over the world was that I needed a practice and a toolbox to sustain the craziness, right? And I think I like to joke and not joke. What truly saved me from becoming obese or addicted to drugs or alcohol or sleeping pills or things like that was having a toolbox and was having some sort of practice and being grounded in that. And eventually, even I burnt out of living in so many different places at the same time that I took a break and decided to really think about how can I help people avoid reaching this point of burnout, this point of exhaustion, this point of feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, stress, and what can I utilize in my background and combination of my own toolbox and what could I learn. And so I took about 3 to 4 years to really study alternative therapies and medicine and alternative tools to cope with stress, and really decided to create educational programmings on helping others on what I felt would have been great tools for me, and developed these programs. And that's where it stemmed. And I felt like there was a lot of legitimacy and genuineness in what I'd done because I'd been on the other side of the desk with as so many people. So I felt like there was an instant connection of I have been you, right? I have been on that side of the desk. I have felt what you are feeling. Of course, everyone is individual, and I'm not saying I felt exactly, but there's definitely a relatability and an understanding. And so that's sort of where it all stemmed from, and felt that it was important to share this information and help others.
I love that. And you talk about something very relatable, at least to me. And you've mentioned it several times in terms of this toolbox, right? Because I think, at least for me, when I hear self-care, or when I hear the terms wellness or well-being, it feels a lot like I have to dedicate a lot of time. It's like going to the gym, and I have to think about it and get organized. And to your point, like when we're living in this fast-paced world, fast-paced environment with all these competing priorities, and if you're in corporate, you have to get all of these tasks done in 12, 14-hour days. When you are your own business owner, it seems like it's even worse because you have all of these additional tasks that you need to do. And then if you're a mom or a caretaker to somebody, there's that additional layer. And as Latinas, many of us feel that added responsibility of it's like another job in itself, right? Plus so many other things that take time out of our days. So I love that you talk about this toolbox because it just feels a little bit more tangible. At least in when we were talking about, I was like, I'm curious. So tell us a little bit more about this toolbox.
So the toolbox is exactly what it sounds like, a toolbox, right? I've joked with people that they're like a hammer, nail, screw. I'm like, no, metaphorical toolbox, people, but a toolbox. So what I'm saying is those objectives that you mentioned, Ilhiana, are fantastic. The gym, Pilates, yoga, meditation, all that's amazing. I'm a massive fan. I will never deter people from doing that. I think you should absolutely do that. But I also think what you said is true, is that we, especially as Latinas, are pulled in so many different directions, and there's so many requirements placed on us because of our cultural background and our DNA and the expectation, right? I have always said that I have three brothers. The expectation on my brothers is never the same as the expectation on me. It's just not. It's trying to explain that to people that don't come from our culture and our environment is very difficult. They're like I literally have people like, well, have your brother do that with your dad, or have your brother do that with your mom. But the response from my elder parents is always, wait, why aren't you doing it? Right? And it stops there. There's no other conversation, right? So I feel like we feel like we have to be caretakers to everybody, and we have to take care of everybody around us, and we forget that if we don't take care of ourselves, it's very difficult to take care of everybody else. And I also, I love when you refer to self-care and wellness, because some people do look at it as, oh my God, it's so big. Also, it's a selfish thing, right? I think people, especially, and I can talk as a Latina, so I'm referring to myself and to you and to the group of us. We are taught to a certain extent, right, by our grandmothers and our great grandmothers and our moms, that self-care is selfishness, right? Like, you can't take care of yourself. You've got to take care of everybody around you, right? Like, whether it's, and we express love by taking care of others, by cooking, by cleaning, by doing. In the Latina world, that means love, right? Like, if I was used to make fun of my mom, why are you cleaning for the cleaning lady? You know, and it's always like, well, what's she going to eat? Or what? But again, and it's crazy. I don't know if this happens to you, Ilhiana, but I wake up sometimes and I see myself, like my grandmother, my mom, in me. And I'm doing exactly what I criticized that they did, but I'm still doing it, right? And so I think a big thing that we need to be able to separate is self-care is self-love for us, right? And it's not selfishness. It's helping us take better care of ourselves in order to do everything we need to do. And so when I talk about going back to the toolbox, it's what can you have at your fingertips that is easy, simple, and accessible, and doesn't mean you necessarily have to change your clothes, doesn't mean you necessarily have to go anywhere, doesn't mean it's costly, and it's minimal time consuming, right? So find what those little things are, and we all have them, right? Whether it's taking a moment before you have to respond to an email, or take a conference call or a Zoom call or attend a meeting, and maybe just stand up and ground your feet and take 10 breaths. Or maybe you feel like you've had an insane day and now you have to go cook dinner for your entire family and your kids' homework, and your mom's also calling you about something. And again, so maybe while you are cooking dinner, you're listening to your favorite piece of music. Or maybe before you do, you say, you know what, I just need 2 minutes to listen to my favorite piece of music. Or I need 2 minutes to just stretch. Maybe it's just to put my arms above my head. Maybe it's to move my neck around, but maybe it's 10 seconds, and maybe it's a minute. And that's what I refer to a toolbox. Find those little easy, accessible things that you can do that will, I promise, shift the energy, shift your mindset for that moment in order to cross over to something else. And so then once you incorporate these, your body begins and your mind begins to call out for them, right? So that I like to always, there's one of my favorite workshops I like to teach is how to respond versus react to things. And the whole idea of how to respond is, what do you have in your toolbox that will help you? And, it could be hand movements, right? It could be simple little things. And I also find that a lot of these things, we do them unconsciously. Like, we do these things. We exhale, we elongate our exhale when we get frustrated. We move our body when we feel like we're feeling tension. But what I'm saying is bring awareness to that and take that moment and step away from the computer, the phone, the email, the whatever, the kids, the dog, the partner, anyone, and do it for a few seconds just for you. And then that begins to build on each other. And eventually, if you find the time to go for a 20-minute walk, great. 30-minute walk, great. A workout class, great. But try to say what's in, also an essential oil, maybe smelling an essential oil, maybe having your favorite flower by you, your favorite candle, and taking a few breaths by that. And it does calm the central nervous system and rewire our brain for a moment.
I love everything that you're saying, but especially it resonated with me when you talked about like having these 2-minute moments to maybe listen to something or to see something. Because that's something that I didn't realize until you said it that I do. However, when I do it, there's a guilt component to it, to say, okay, I want to take these 5 or 10 minutes to watch this show that I love. It's like my moment to relax. It's a no-brainer show. It's just like that kind of thing that you just watch. But then there's this added guilt to, well, these 10 minutes, I could be doing absolutely anything else. I could be doing work. I could be doing the dishes. I could be tending to my family. Like, how can I take these minutes that I have, which are so precious, out of my day to do this show or to watch this show? How do you manage the guilt, the mindset and the guilt, so that you can then enjoy it? Because sometimes I feel like I still watch it, but I don't enjoy it because my mind is, and the emotion is like, I shouldn't be doing. It's like the guilty pleasure of the chocolate you were not supposed to have, right?
Always have dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is great for women. It's great for the bones. It's great for calcium. Solid dark chocolate is a great thing. Yeah, I mean, as a Latina, the guilt's always there, right? It's changing the narrative in your speech. It's starting to change your narrative. So everything to me in life is a practice, right? It's creating a toolbox that you're practicing. So the best way that I do it is to change a narrative and practice that narrative and say, you know what, Karina, it's okay. Like, the world is not going to explode in those 10 minutes. It's not going to explode at the end of the 30 minutes either. Or it's not going to explode in the 10 minutes. Things are going to always come at us. There's always going to be things to do, moments of stress, things to accomplish, always, right? But if we're exhausted, overwhelmed, frustrated, stressed, then we can't accomplish them in our best selves either. So maybe the narrative is, if I really want to do what I need to do and need to accomplish in the best possible way and present myself and live my best life, then I need to incorporate 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes throughout my day to support myself. And literally, it's just changing how you're phrasing that to yourself. not phrasing it out to the world, because we don't phrase it out to the world. We phrase it to ourselves, right? And so it's, how do you change that speech to yourself?
I love that. I'll keep you updated next week
I would
in
love
terms of
that.
the narrative. So you talk about this burnout, and I've gone through burnout myself, and it's not a nice thing to go through. And recovering from it, it's even worse. But you talk about also like this, the things that we've seen from our moms or other women, and we're taught that we're strong, right? We're superwoman. We can do all of these things, manage, the house, the work, family, and even more. So there's the on the one hand, there's the mindset of we can do everything, or we should do everything, but on the other, we need to then carve the time and know when we're getting to that burnout, because we keep ignoring. And I remember when I went through that process, I kept ignoring the signs because there's always the I still can't do it. Right? Maybe I take a little
Right.
rest, but I'm still going to take on these 1,000 other things next week, and then the following, and then the following, until literally one day you're like, that's it, lights out. You can't do it anymore. So are there signs that we need to be aware of and really take seriously before you get to that lights out moment, and not ignore them because it's not
I mean,
nice?
no, I love this question. Thank you for asking it. So, what I like to say is that your body whispers, then it speaks, then it screams, and then God forbid. But it goes back to that narrative, right? If we don't stop to listen to the whisper that's going on, then the body will talk to us. If we don't stop to listen to the talking, it's going to scream. And then we really don't want to reach the point of after the screaming, right? So again, it's changing that narrative in putting importance on yourself and working and letting go of the guilt of taking care of yourself and listening to your mind and body and yourself. Now, not gonna lie, there's also a danger to that, right? Which is we spend too much time listening. And then what I like to say on the flip side of that is we develop a script, we write out the script, and then it turns into a Hollywood movie. And then that's not good either, because then we're living a movie. And then it's a vicious cycle of the script and the movie and the script and the movie, and we don't pull out of it. And that's not good either. So yes, there is definitely a balance between listening to our body and our mind, but not giving it that much importance that then it becomes a vicious cycle of you can't get out of that, right? So, but I think at the core of all that, it goes back to it's okay to take care of you. It's okay to take time for you, so that if you're feeling like you're exhausted, you probably really are exhausted, right? If you're feeling like you're not getting enough sleep, you're probably really not getting enough sleep. If you feel like you're developing headaches, you are getting those headaches, right? And all of that are the signs. So we can either choose to listen to the signs or not, but not feel guilty about listening to the signs and saying, wow, I really am tired. I think I need a moment. Or one of the questions I like to ask people is, do you ever notice if you're sitting at your desk and you haven't moved, but you're short of breath and you feel like you can't catch your breath? And most of the time that happens to us unconsciously, till we all of a sudden look up and we're like, why am I'm my heartbeat, my heart rate is racing. I feel like I can't catch my breath. Most of the time it's because you've sat there like this on your computer and you're incredibly focused and tense, and you probably haven't taken a breath. You've probably held your breath for a certain amount of time. Obviously you're breathing because you're alive, but I can promise you that for a certain moment you have held your breath. And now that tension gets traumatized in the body, right? And then you're sort of like, wow, everything hurts. Well, yes, if you sit there for X amount of hours straight, you don't even get up to go to the bathroom. You don't have water. You don't have anything, and you've been just glued to that screen. Your body's going to react. Oh, and my other favorite trick that I forgot to mention is drink a lot of water so that it forces you to get up out of your desk and go to the bathroom. And there's your walk. So even if you're in an office space, for some of us that are, going to offices now more than before, usually the bathroom is further away from our office or our desk, which forces us to go for a walk.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. For me, I've now realized that my eyes at the end of the day, because when you talked about being focused, you get focused a lot because you're doing, things on a computer, plus the meeting, plus the Zoom, then you disconnect, then you read emails, and you don't realize that you're not blinking as often as we should. And for the last couple of months now, I've realized that my eyes at the end just feel so tired and so tiny and so closed. So I've been trying to be more mindful of doing eye exercises. But I just recently noticed it. I didn't realize that that's what was happening. So you're right. It's about noticing those little details.
But that's what I mean when I say your body's whispering. That's a
Yeah.
whisper, Ilhiana. That's like, oh, your eyes are tired. Pay attention
Yeah.
now. Right? So good for you for catching that and building that awareness and saying, what can I do before it gets worse?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now I have three pairs of eyeglasses because the computer, the short, the
Right.
long, oh my God, it's so much fun to become more knowledgeable in age. Let's put it that
Yes.
way.
I
Right?
mean, that's sort of an understatement, but yes, let's be positive about that one.
Exactly, exactly. Well, we've come to the end. I know that there's so much more that we can share. We're also going to head into an actual panel where you'll be a part of and continuing on this subject. So I know that this is not the end of this conversation. I'm really excited for that at the end of October. So anybody that's watching, it'll probably go out, if not tomorrow, it'll definitely go out next week. So check that out and register for this well-being panel. Well, Karina will be with us and we'll have a bigger conversation where people, if you have any questions, you'll be able to ask them there. Any final thoughts, calls to action, anything that you'd like to share?
Yes, my call to action to everyone is create a toolbox for yourselves. Make it simple, accessible, easy. Think of things you can do in 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute, up to 10 minutes that will, I promise, make a big impact throughout your day and your evening. You can do it in the morning before you sit down at your desk. You can do it throughout the day. You can do it at the end of your day. You can do it before you go to sleep. But just have little things that you do for yourself throughout the day that can help you a lot and make a big impact on your system.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I've taken notes of things that I'm going to be doing. So I'll keep you and we can continue the conversation at the end of October. Thank you so much. And everybody who's watching, thank you so much for being here again today. Don't miss out on our upcoming events. We have our September Latina Leadership Meeting happening next week, next Tuesday on the 19th. So don't forget to sign up for that. We're going to do a lot of great things there. We have our Hispanic Heritage Month virtual event happening on October 12th. We have an amazing lineup of speakers. It's just outstanding. As of yesterday, the speakers are already starting to post things. So you'll be able to see that lineup of speakers in all our social media platforms. And then for our premium members, we have our Latina Speaker Circle. So that's happening on October 18th. 18th. If you're not a premium member, but you want to be a part of these because you are a speaker yourself or you want to become a speaker, join us, become a premium member. There's a lot of benefits from it, and you'll get a lot of different uh, strategies and tactics and visibility in becoming a speaker yourself. So that's going to happen October 18th. And then we'll have this well-being panel at the end of October. Like I said, it's going to come out this week or next week. So check that out. And then we'll have several other events as well. Thank you so much, Karina. Again, thank you so much, everybody, for watching today. And be well. Take your time, a little bit of time off.
Thank you, Ilhiana, so much for having me. This was such a fun conversation. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.